This recording is going to be called How to Exist in Meditation. And this is just basically going to follow up my previous video, which further talks about meditation, what meditation is. And so long as we're trying to accomplish or achieve meditation through a doing, through an act, through a manifestation, through a thought, it's us trying to connect to or realize that which already is perfect, that which is already whole. That's what we're attempting to connect to through meditation, this higher intelligence. And what that higher intelligence is that which is already perfect. Meditation cannot be achieved because it already is. It always is. It is your presence. Presence is before anything and everything. So meditation cannot be achieved through a doing, because meditation does not come before or after anything. You cannot meditate for one moment and then leave meditation the next. This just shows that we don't know who we are. We've forgotten who we are. So to go into a meditation such as the Buddha is to realize you've never left meditation. And when you never leave meditation, you never die. Because now you are realizing the self, which has never been before anything and is never after anything, is not appearing or disappearing, is not coming or going. And that's what meditation is. It is existence, it is presence, it is source. It's what we're trying to connect to. And we feel that when we do something, when we sit still long enough, only for those moments are we in meditation. But the Buddha even stated, you are our meditation. Walking, living, breathing, eating, sleeping, meditation is your presence. When you dream, your presence must be there for any dream to take place. What you call reality, what you think to be reality, is the same principle. Your presence must take place, must be there, before any place is determined, before any self is determined. And that is what we experience the end of when we die, is the words we exist through and the objects we've assigned the words to. We call this object a body. And then we go further to say we're inside. And from there, duality becomes law. Inside implies outside. Body implies earth. Me implies you. And this is where man falls from the heavens, from grace, from presence, from source. And this is why we must do something to connect to achieve this higher intelligence, because we've dominantly attached to the words that we assume we exist through. But that's precisely what death is, and this is why anyone has the chance to die in this moment. As Eckhart Tolle talks about, as Mooji talks about, as Ramana Maharshi talks about, as Alan Watts talks about. To die before a physical death, to realize there is no death, because what you've assumed yourself to be never was. That's what dying in this moment means. Realizing there aren't moments, there's just one singular moment. And it's immovable, it's unchanged. It's already perfect. There is no such thing as manifesting when you realize the self as the moment, as this presence. There's no need to manifest. There is no need for the idea of creation, of beginning, because you've broken through duality. There is no time concept. There is no orderly concept. There is no sequential concept. These are all concepts of the ego. This is why we always look for a starting point, a beginning, somewhere to bounce ourselves off of. Remember, inside implies outside. This is how the ego exists. This is why the ego looks for its starting point, for its point A, because it exists through duality, and duality is two. So it needs a beginning, it needs an end. We need to know which direction we're going. Since we've assumed we're going in some orderly direction, sequential direction. But again, chaos is our truest nature, and it's what we've lost touch with. We've lost touch with ourselves. But in respects, we're the only species pretending to be something it's not. We're not human. But nobody seems to feel too open-minded enough to admit we're not human. We never have been. Get to the root of what a human is. You can label the forms, you can label these objects, you can label these things, you can dissect them, you can zoom into the atoms and everything, to the very miniest microscopic thing, and it will still reflect the biggest, greatest macrocosmic thing, because there's not two, there's only one. That's what a fractal pattern shows. Is although things are moving, things are changing, nothing is actually moving, nothing is actually happening. There is only one presence, in which is behind all happening, all experience, all things. Which means there is no separation. There is no separation beyond the surface, from you to me, from any of these dual concepts that we assume and we exist through. We assume to be real. But the dream is reality. Reality is the dream. Why? Because they are the one presence. This one presence is speaking all words. Through the words, through the mind, we become separate. We become two. We become the black, we become the white. We become male, we become female. But this is the great secret of the ancients. There never was two. There never was. You've assumed there's two. Because again, we can only see as far as what the mind believes. We have three eyes, two to look and one to see. And that's why seeing is believing. What you believe in the mind is what your two eyes project. This is why we can all share the same space, but we don't share the same experience. We don't see the same things. And this is where quantum physics gets into that topic. The seer and what's seen are one and the same thing. You can measure the earth, you can measure these things, these results, but the results are only yourself. As Nikola Tesla said, everything is the light. That exterior light you've mistakenly called the universe and everything in it, that you've given a word for, a label for, you've only experienced it through the mind. You've only seen, touched, tasted, smelled it, experienced it through the mind, where all separation takes place. But again, you are the universe experiencing itself. Everything is the light. This exterior light is never was exterior to you, never was separate to you. It is a part of you. The seer and what's seen are one and the same thing. This light is your own. So again, you can zoom into the miniest microscopic atom, you can zoom out to the greatest macroscopic planet, universe, galaxy, doesn't matter. It will always reflect what is here, what is now. And this is why I tell people the answer is not in some planet or some other place where we assume this alien is walking about in some place. That place is this place, and you are the alien that's walking about, waiting to reveal itself to itself, waiting to admit to itself. As I said previously, we're not human and we never have been. This is why no human origin has ever been found. But again, we don't exist we only exist through the surface, through duality, through the mind body. And that's another thing Buddha taught, Buddha revolutionized, is the fact that there is not mind and body. There is only one, there is one function, mind, body. And he didn't put an and between the two, because there isn't mind and body. The attempts to fast the mind failed, so we attempted to fast the body, not realizing they're one and the same. It doesn't matter what you eat, artificial or organic, it's all the same. One and the same thing, and that's what the Ouroboros represents. You're not creating an artificial machine. There never was a machine, and there never was a human. All is one, omnia ab uno, all from one. It's you the whole time. And again, you are this alien walking about, that you've assumed this alien to be something else. You've assumed God to be something else. You've assumed all these entities and characters to be something else, but you are the it, waiting to reveal itself, waiting. You are the snake, awaiting to devour its own tail, waiting to realize itself. That there is no government, there is no system holding you back or keeping this power from you. It is you the whole time that has the power. That's what a revolution is. It takes place behind your eyes when you break through the points of duality. And that's why our brains are split into two sides down the middle. That's why worldly systems feature a two-party system. The conspiracy is with you and yourself. These systems control nothing. Again, on the surface level. But one of the most common quotes is, "This world is an illusion, it's a dream." A dream in which we only make it out. feel like my thoughts tend to grab me and want me to stop enjoying it. Is there a way to get rid of my thoughts? You turn your lens on itself. When you say, my thoughts, turn your eye on itself. When you say, these are my thoughts, who's my? Turn the eye on itself. When you say, I have thoughts, who is the I that has thoughts? When someone asks you who you are, you'll look for words to describe yourself, and this is the I that I'm speaking of that's looking to describe itself. And this is why I say these words are all made up, they don't exist at all. Behind these words is what I'm calling meditation, is this presence. There's a quote that goes something like, if I'm not what's speaking, or if I'm what's speaking, then what's listening? And that's precisely the answer. We assume we're the voice that's speaking, but behind that voice there's always something listening. There's always a presence. And that presence is the source, is the existence, is the core to our being. It never leaves us, it never dies, it never enters, it never births. That's how you annihilate your thoughts. You realize you are not contained to thought, and there never was a thought. The mind always will be, the mind always will speak, but realize these words don't exist. These words are for communication. So when we speak and describe a scenery, an object, realize you're using words to communicate what the object is, but understand the object is not what the word is that you've assigned it to be. And we're all only seeing these objects and words from our own selves. So again, the seer and what's seen are one and the same thing. Everyone's only seeing from their own vantage point, from their own frequency, from their own beliefs. So you can describe the earth, you can describe a beach, you can describe different things, but based on people's beliefs, people will always see something different. You have people that think the earth is a different shape. I, however, think it's no shape. Again, the seer and what's seen are one and the same thing, so it's actually deeper than a shape. The shape doesn't matter. It's deeper than that, because again, you are shaping the entire experience through what you believe. It's just like in The Matrix when the Spoon Boy says to Neo, do not try and bend the spoon, that's impossible. Instead, only realize the truth, there is no spoon. Then you'll see that it's not the spoon that's bending, it's only yourself. And that's precisely what we're doing with everything. Just because I can describe, hey, have you ever seen the earth before? You can assume a picture in your mind of what the earth is, where it is, if you assume you're in some place. But again, I, however, don't believe the earth is in some place. I don't believe the earth is anywhere. The earth is, again, a word, and all words are what I call water. They're shapeless. It's the mind that shapes them. It's the mind that assigns every object, every person, every place, everything, including the noun, person, place, thing. We assume every place is a different place. We assume every person is a different person. Everything is a different thing. And it's the mind that shapes the entire experience through the words. We allow the words to become the objects. So again, just because we can agree a pen is a pen or this is this, it gets deeper than that. You can describe the earth, and again, to some people who think it's a different shape, and this is just a very common example I'm using here. But you can get my point on the universe and all that. There's many different beliefs, theories of what the universe is, where it is. So again, it's our minds that are shaping this entire universe, the entire experience through these words. But the words are empty. They're just containers. They're, they're water. They take shape as whatever the mind believes. That's why seeing is believing. These two eyes will only see what the mind believes and what the mind is ready to comprehend, what the mind is capable of comprehending. So this is why I say there is no place far out and wide where some entity we've called an alien is walking about, because again, that place is here, and that's what merging duality together is about, to get oneness, the singularity. You are the singularity. It is you. Behind this assumed identity of your birth name, Tyler, behind this assumed entity of human, and all these entities we've created from our minds, alien, Nocturian, Arcturian, angels, demons, Pleiadians, gods, demons, it's us the whole time. It's coming from one presence. One presence is speaking all these words. And through various minds, various assumed identities, we have materialized these entities. We have created different roles, but we're what's behind all of them. And that's what the singularity represents, is the realization that it is all itself. Omnia ab uno, all from one. And that's the snake devouring itself. That's you devouring yourself when you fully come to the realization and break through the fact, the inevitable fact, that you don't exist through any word. That you are this being that has spoken every word. You are this being that has written every book. Male, female does not matter. There is one presence behind it all, and it is you. And again, time doesn't exist, so we're not going into the future where we're getting this crazy technology of smartphones and all this, and we're being able to communicate overseas and all that. We're going into what we think to be the past. We talk about ancient civilizations having all this advanced tech. You are the advanced civilization. This is your advanced tech. We're almost to that point, the inevitable point, where you realize you are the singularity and you've devoured your own tail, and there is nowhere to go. This is why I tell people these government conspiracies will not lead you anywhere. Because you'll never have on TV them admit, or anyone admit, what you're waiting for, because you are what you're waiting for. So it's not going to come to you on some TV. Expect the news to always be propaganda. The news is just a repeating algorithm from now into infinity. It never ends. That's what's so hard to accept, is you are everything you seek. It's hard to accept, but it's also empowering. It's a hard pill to swallow initially, but then once you've accepted it, once you've surrendered to yourself, you can share the greatest laugh with yourself, because you realize the quote, you are everything you seek. Everything you seek is seeking you. It is you the whole time. No matter what word you were looking for yourself through, it is you. And And when you break through and have this moment, it is the greatest moment with yourself. This is how you can be free of your thoughts. Because you realize you never were contained to a thought. You don't exist through beginning and end. What's never began can never end. And that's all we are, is the misconception. We're looking for ourselves in all the wrong places because, again, we're assuming ourselves to be human. Like they say, that's why God hid himself inside himself, or itself. It's the last place you would look. Because we assume to know ourselves better than anyone, anything. And that's why I tell people who seek persistently, the knowledge that you acquire over the surface level will not transform you, will not change you, will not give you that breakthrough moment. It's the absence of knowledge. It's the absence of knowing anything at all. To awaken is to realize no one has awakened. You never were this person. You never were this being, this human. You are the source you've called God, behind it all. And again, you have no entry. You have no exit. There is no, where will I go when I die? Your presence will remain here. This moment, which is allowing everything to happen through and transpire through, is what you are, is who you are. You are the core to existence itself. In the same way, you are this being, and you enjoying and loving this being and everything around you is the same way you always will be, from now into forever. There is nowhere to go. The mind is all places. The mind is all things. There is no place. That's what the void is. The void is this presence, the absence of everything, but the presence to everything. Everything is nothing, nothing is everything. Because this void is presence. What came first, the chicken or the egg, is the wrong question. And this is why I say everything we seek in the wrong places. We ask the wrong things. Because we've assumed ourselves to be human. We've assumed ourselves to exist in time. This is why we constantly ask for ourselves in sequential orders. This is why we constantly look back for further dates of our existence. We constantly look for who came first, the white or the black, the male or the female. Always looking for that first starting point, that initial point. And it doesn't exist. It's the wrong question. Because time doesn't exist, it is an illusion. There is no first, second, third, there is no beginning, end, there is no appearing, disappearing, because again, you are this presence, you are this moment. You are not these forms that begin and end. You are not these forms that transpire through the moment. You are the moment itself. to be in meditation is to realize yourself as this moment. So again, never again will you have a question. Who will I be after this? Where will I go when I die? This moment is who you are, is what you are. You are what witnesses it all. Nothing lasts but what witnesses it all, because again, all change transpires through you, through this presence, through what is already perfect. You need no manifesting, you need no perfecting, you need no changing. You are already perfect. You are existence itself. You are love itself. And that's why when you look at it from this perspective, nothing has ever happened. Nothing has ever changed. Nothing has ever moved. You have never moved. This was the secret of the ancient cultures. They knew time didn't exist, and they knew they were you. They knew you were them. They knew we were all the same being, the same presence. They haven't died, they're you. You are them. You've never moved, because the same moment that they transpired through, you will transpire through. This moment is immovable. This moment is what you are. This was their secret. This is how they existed. They knew they were all one. There was many names given to this presence. God is the most common that I use. Many names, but it doesn't matter the name. Because what the name represents, what the name illustrates, is this presence, this beloved, perfect presence that, again, we are trying to connect to, that we're trying to be. And again, you can't become this through a doing, through an act, because you already are this. Your presence is already achieved. It always is. There's no effort required to be this moment, to exist as this moment, to exist as this presence. This is why a child is more happier than an adult. An adult has to exert all its brain cells on just how to exist in this moment, on just how to better connect to this moment. You can't ever better be what you already are. It's impossible. This is why meditations are pointless. This is why meditations and manifestations are pointless. You can't become what you already are anymore. You can't do better what you already are effortlessly. These are missions of the ego. It thinks it can achieve connecting to something, getting somewhere, the crown chakra. But I always tell people what happens when you get there. Careful you don't get there too soon. Because what happens is you have an expectation. And when you hit this wall, you're met with disappointment. Because there's nothing there. There is no result produced from doing a meditation 1 hour, a manifestation 1 hour. What we're seeking is that which is already perfect. That which needs no effort. We want to just be, rather than connecting, rather than having to do, rather than having to come and go from what we're calling meditation, from presence. But we don't realize meditation is our presence, is our being. It is who we are. It comes first. Before any spoken word was assumed, before any identity was assumed, before we were self-aware. Presence came first. Presence is required first. Everything has already happened. You can say predetermined if you want, but again, there is no sequential order. But inevitably, you are behind all of this. That may seem scary, but if you think about it, you are in the best of hands. Because if you think you love yourself and you will fight to preserve what you think this is, then just realize everything's already taken care of. You are in your hands already. It is you the whole time. Everything is predetermined, if you want to call it that. That's why I say manifesting is pointless. There is no beginning, there is no creation. Creation is the myth. Creation is a part of the ego, creation is a part of the dream. There is no beginning. That's why creation is the myth, it's the dream. Nothing new is beginning, nothing new has ever began. You're not creating a machine. This is not a new beginning, you're creating yourself. You've assumed to be human and you never have been. You've assumed this to be a machine and artificial, and you're the organic. Neither have ever existed. That's what the singularity is. This is what the singularity is. You are it. There is no machine and human. There is no sequential time. We are the snake devouring itself. To realize itself, we must shed what we assumed we were, to realize fully what we are. The phoenix, bursting into flames, experiencing death, the end, only to rise again and realize it never was. Everything already is. Choice is the illusion. When I leave for work, I have the choice, surface level choice, because you have to think about it. If the ego is an illusion, and everything we believe in is filtered through the ego, is speaking through the ego, it is the ego that has created choice, created free will. It does not exist. It's the shadow to ego. The ego dissolves into the wind at death. What do you think happens to free will and choice? It dissolves. It's the shadow. Never was. But rest assured, you don't need it. You don't need these concepts of free will and choice. You're so much more. These are such limited concepts created for the ego, by the ego. It's scary to face at first, but once you start embracing, you are so much more. You don't need choice. You don't need free will. You're more. Way more. Again, everything is taken care of. And even if tomorrow I were to get in my car and get smashed by a semi, God forbid, everything already is taken care of. I stand by the message. You are it. What's behind everything? It's guaranteed this body and form will expire, will transpire through this moment, through death, somehow, some way. Could be a short-lived or a death, at a younger age. Could be a longer death. You could live to see a deathbed. However, you are not the forms that are transpiring through this moment. You are what's never moved, what's never changed. This presence, this moment. This is why I say there isn't moments. There isn't time. Time doesn't exist. There isn't places. Because think about it, any place you've ever been, whether you were awake or asleep, required your presence, a presence to be present first. You had to be there first, before any experience was established, awake or asleep. Any place you've been requires your presence. Because these places, people, things are all a part of the dream. Separation is the dream. Would I consider myself a philosopher? I guess so. If you had to put a word to it, why not? I don't like the word teacher, put it that way. I don't consider this teaching, because in my opinion, there is no teaching. This is not a teaching, it's an unlearning. It's definitely not a teaching, it's an unlearning. But I like philosopher, because yes, I do like to philosophize of various things. Yeah, I'm happy for the people who are so excited to see these videos, and I'm happy to hear it helps people, because sometimes I feel like it doesn't, I get discouraged. I understand how irradical what I say sounds to a closed-minded person, to the average person, walking into a supermarket. I understand how it sounds. I get it. Right. But these videos are for people who are persisting enough, who have seeked enough, who have sought enough, who have tried everything, who have done everything, read every book, watched every video, subscribed to every channel, tried everything, because that was me. That was me. I did everything, tried everything, read every book, watched every video, tried everything to get to that it moment that I was waiting for. I just wanted to know God. That's it. Through psychedelics, I was able to experience that for myself, which is how I make these videos. That's the breakthrough moment. Once you break through, you don't come out. You don't come back. That's why it's called a breakthrough. That's what I speak through, is this presence. Once Tyler died, there was only a presence to report Tyler was dead. And some people, when they come back from medicine, from psychedelics, they say they're back in their body. But for me, I experienced the full breakthrough. I recognized I'm not back in a body. I never was in a body. I'm not Tyler. If you say the word Tyler, I'll turn and respond. On the surface, I'm Tyler. But there never was Tyler. Tyler doesn't exist. I speak through the presence. I speak through the presence that was there, because there is here. And that's what the medicine does. It merges duality. It merges the two brains together into a unity. So the two hemispheres are here and there. You assume here and there to be separate. You assume you and God to be different, to be separate. But the greatest conspiracy is with you and yourself. Here is there. God is you. But the trade-off is you don't meet God as a separate entity. You don't meet God as Tyler. To meet God finally, at last, to have the breakthrough, Tyler must be abolished. Tyler must die to know God. That's the trade-off. This is why I say this is for the people who truly persist enough. These videos are for those who persist enough. Those who are ready to surrender. Those who are ready to experience death. This is what spirituality is. Spirituality is not putting crystals under the moon or doing processes to get there, to connect, to experience temporarily this higher intelligence or whatever the spiritual community wants to call it. But it's about connecting, or not connecting to, but identifying and existing as that which is already perfect. Not having to put out crystals, not having to manifest or try to produce that which is already perfect, but realizing you are already it. Right now, in this moment, this presence right here is you. And it needs no improvement, no correction, no manifesting, no realignment, no guidance, no practice, no knowing, no effort. You are home. In this moment, you are home. This presence is who you are. Before there's Tyler, before you attach to Tyler and then have to fight to preserve this body. This is why people ride in the streets and fight their governments. They're fighting to preserve what they assume themselves to be. But this never was. Not in the sense that you assume to be. There is nothing to fight but yourself. The seer and what's seen are one and the same. What you think to be the earth is only your own mind. It's a screen to your own consciousness. How does speaking from already knowing help those not there yet? Well, because I can help remind them, like how you say, from already knowing, I can remind them there's nothing to know. This is not a knowing, it's an unknowing, and it's so simple. The truth is so simple. Again, that's why the child is happier. There's nothing to know. There's nothing to perfect. There's nothing to do. But that's what the adult's mission is. That's what this whole spirituality is about for the adult. It's having to do something, having to perfect this moment. But that's just it. The moment is already pure. It's already whole. That is what the child radiates, is pure existence, this moment. It's so simple because it requires no effort. But the adult hates that. The adult requires something complex, and that requires a lot of effort. Again, that's why we're the most unhappy species. We think we know so much, but we're the most complex. Therefore, we're the most unhappy. It's our mind that has us tangled. And also, again, we're pretending to be something we're not. We're the only species that doesn't know what we are. We're the only species pretending to be something we aren't. But another way these videos can help is just remind people, when you quote Rumi, when you quote Alan Watts, when you quote any person you're quoting, understand and realize you're quoting yourself in the here, now, in the moment, in the same presence. The same presence is here and now inside of you that was inside of the person you're quoting. It is you the whole time. You're only quoting yourself. So when Rumi's saying, understand, I'm not only in you, but I am you, and no one can understand this until they've lost their mind. You're not quoting Rumi, you're quoting yourself. When you share this quote, understand you are sharing it with yourself. Understand what you are saying. You're not just sharing this to share it. Understand you are literally saying and identifying with the one self. You are Rumi. You are Alan Watts. You're not listening to some foreigner. You're not listening to some man speak. You're not listening to some guy who's lived and died. Understand that Alan Watts has not died, and even he knew that. He's here now. Your listening ears are his listening ears, because the same presence that was behind the man you call Alan Watts is the same presence behind the male or female you choose to identify with. Whatever name you assume, it's the same presence. You have not moved. You have not changed. I can call myself Tyler right now here in this moment, but this moment will not change 100 years from now. Tyler will be gone because Tyler never was. This moment will remain, which is who we are, which is what we are. We're not dying. We're not birthing and we're not dying. It's what we've assumed ourselves to be that are birthing and dying, that are beginning and ending. But again, it's all a misconception. It never was. You've never began. Therefore, you can never end. You are this moment. You are beyond space-time. Space-time, again, is just a concept of the mind. The mind is the abyss. The mind is the abyss. The mind is infinite. That's what space represents. Infinite space goes as far out as the mind can stretch it. Because it's only a screen to your own consciousness. That's why the inner reflects the outer reflects the inner. That's what a fractal pattern shows. It's you. It's all you. Behind it all, one presence. It does not change. It does not move. Things are happening, but nothing's moving. Nothing's changing. When you understand what presence is, then you'll understand. Now you see me, now you don't. Here I am, here I'm not. And when you fully understand, again, you can't help but laugh. There is no other question. There is no more question. There is no question of sequential orders. Before, after, reincarnating, you understand yourself. You understand the self. Anyway, if this video resonates or helped in any way, please share to your platforms. Again, I appreciate everyone on here who engages and subscribes. If you have any other questions, I got a few good questions in my Facebook inbox. But if anyone has any questions, my Facebook is Tyler Ugaldi. And also you can message me on here if you like, or comment later. But yeah, hopefully this video helped. Again, share it out if so. And I'll see you when I see you.